Hey there, welcome back to Reddit XO, the best channel for Reddit cheating stories. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more stories like these. Now, let's get into the video. City ex-wife is now dying. How to be there for my adult son despite being bitter. Note to RA mods. Reddit just would not allow me to create a new /throwaway account. Nothing occurs when I show I'm not a robot and click verify. I tried for 2 days. I'm hoping you'll keep this up. I couldn't care less about karma. I simply want advice, though I'm not sure I'm deserving of it after what follows. TLDR, at the conclusion of our marriage, my ex-wife had 3 boyfriends. Then she spent many hours comparing me to one of her lovers on a few of occasions. She gets diagnosed with a very serious cancer some years after the divorce. I'm experiencing an awful notion that could impair my capacity to soothe our adult son. Please help me stop being a miserable with awful ideas so I can be there for our kid. I'm disgusted by this notion. I'm making myself ill. At the conclusion of our marriage, my ex-wife had relationships with 3 men at the same time. She was a manager who had to dismiss someone. That someone retaliated by calling me to inform me about one person. She was meeting him on her lunch break, which, after a little of trickle truth, revealed there were 3 men. She then spent a few hours, both face-to-face and over the phone, comparing me to one of the males she was seeing. This is in addition to the physical and mental violence she endured throughout her marriage. To verify the physical abuse, I have a scar and multiple medical expenses. She also treats our kid with contempt. She is enraged by the fact that he is. I'm incredibly resentful of her. She has been diagnosed with a very dangerous cancer and wants to speak to me on the phone many years after the divorce, while she is with a 4th guy. She relocated a few hours away. She's probably just got 60 or 90 days left. But I have to be there for our grown-up son. I have to confess that I thought to myself, it couldn't happen to a nicer person. It's a horrible thought to have, yet it won't go away. I hate that I'm such a jerk for thinking this. I'm disgusted with myself and battling with it while wanting to be present for our baby. I'm a horrible, terrible person for having this thinking, yet it won't go away. I'm sick about myself because of this, and I don't deserve his love, but I have to be there for him. I despise myself. He deserves a better guy as a father. What should I do to get rid of this thought? How can I stop being so repulsive? How can I be there for my kid while being such a bad person with such a bad thought? Should I contact her via phone, as she requested? Should I tell her she is forgiven, presuming that is what she wants to discuss? She isn't, but I can fool her. Update. I dissolved our marriage after she admitted to having an affair with Mike. A week later, I received a phone call from Joe's girlfriend. My wife seems to have had a side piece. For her side piece, she contacted me about a month later, weeping because Mike had abandoned her and was just using her for. I asked her what she anticipated from dating a man 3 years her son's senior. Now, I received a phone call from her lover today. Not Mike or Joe, a 3rd guy. Her stomach cancer has progressed to a more serious stage. She's probably just got a few days left. As she lay dying, I was thinking about how she had yet to show regret for having 2 affairs while married to me and misleading me. How she turned down our son, claiming she didn't want to be in a family with one of them, gay. How she rejected her kid for being yet slept with women, at least 2 times while I was there. She confessed to having an affair and how she informed me about it. Also, the drinking should assist in the custody fight. Mike never recognized Joe, because I never tried to straighten out my kid. Is that what makes me a horrible person? Seriously, this lady is dying, and I'm making it all about myself, in my brain. Except for you, Redditors, I haven't communicated my emotions to anybody. Is it true that I'm as bad as I think I am? Story 2. My 39 female ex-husband 43 male is being abused by his wife 44F and I'm tired of it. First, some context. I've known my ex-43 male for 21 years and I'm 39 female. We married stupidly young, 18 and 22 years old, as is normal in the military, aha. Seriously, he was a wonderful spouse, and we had 13 wonderful years together until his 4th and last military deployment. It profoundly influenced him. It was a brutal deployment, and they lost a lot of troops. I have no shame in admitting that I struggled to cope with the aftermath, and we both lacked the skills to be successful supporting partners for one another. He became an alcoholic overnight, and I joined him because I really wanted to connect with him on some level. That was clearly not a viable way to live together, and my children need one of us to be stable. Our marriage terminated peacefully in the end. We stayed great friends and co-parented well until he met his current wife. Simply stated, I had no chance with her. It's almost laughable how diametrically opposed we are, yet I still wonder why her. But that's his problem, not mine. Everything about me was objectionable to her, from my appearance to my style, to my parenting, to my career, to my views and moral code, and she made it known. So she set out on a quest to mend him. But mending him seems to imply bringing him up to her standards. Everything about him began to change. His whole wardrobe, car, religious and political ideals, and parenting style. He even quit supporting a sports team he adored since it was associated with me. She actually forced him return a bag full of jerseys, tees, and other team-related items. It just blew me away. Then it became clear that I was the next item on his list of things to alter in his life. She wanted to remove my presence from his life entirely. I received another package, but this time it included all of his copies of our family photographs from our marriage, including newborn and family history images. She was very emphatic about his never speaking to me alone. She had to accompany him whenever we met to swap kids. If she couldn't go, she would send her older teen daughters, and if that didn't work, she would follow him on Life 360 and begin phoning when his time was up, which was just 5 minutes. During our trade-off time, we frequently discussed children's issues. Then it got to the point where we were arguing about me so loudly that our children could hear us. She'd either bug him about still being in love with me, or she'd attempt to character assassinate and devalue me. Again, loud enough and often enough for my children to hear. They'd come home unhappy because they'd been told horrible things about me that they knew weren't true. They also despised watching their father verbally abused. These battles would also get quite loud as my ex continued to drink excessively and lose his anger. We're now in a loop where she forces him to phone or text me about something she's decided she's unhappy about. She has to see him do IT, and she often instructs him in the background. He'll either attempt to put me in my place or be quite cold and rude. He would say or demand things that used to make me furious and defensive. But here's the kicker. He will always slip away and phone me privately to explain within an hour or so. I see the guy I've always known in those intimate discussions. He's usually calm, rational, and regretful, and he nearly always gives me the truth. Then he and I will work out a solution to her problem so he may live more calmly. Basically, she believes she has won, but nothing has changed between him and I. Even our children have become used to this way. I recognize that this isn't the greatest option. As unfortunate as it is, he must conceal our relationship. He's contacted me for advice on a couple knockdown bouts, but he had to pretend to walk to the shop to phone me. He's come over, gotten drunk with my long-term partner, and spilled his guts, but he's covered his tracks again to disguise it. She punched him in the face one night, and he ran away, ending up in a bar crying on the phone to me. My colleague and I went to the bar to take care of him. We put him in our guest room, but not before we disabled his location services. All of this to say, I'm never going to give up on the person, but it may be difficult to cope with at times. Personally, I feel he is being emotionally and financially mistreated at the very least. When things become bad between them, she threatens to terminate him, publicly humiliate him, make false accusations and financially ruin him in divorce court. Knowing her, she'd do it if she could. She has total control over their money. Her family is well connected at his workplace, and she has successfully manipulated him into a situation where he will lose everything. I know I need to be accessible to him in case he chooses to leave, but going through another cycle of her complaints and his apologetic call has left me disappointed and fatigued. I'd also want to point out that I'm not entirely blameless in this situation. I'm sure I'd acted out and said stuff before I found out this filthy pattern. All I ever wanted was to continue co-parenting as we had before she arrived. I lost on what to do. It's getting more difficult for me to keep myself in control. I have never allowed someone to speak to me or treat me so disrespectfully without receiving the full force of my retort. She understands, as well as I do, that the only thing that can rescue her from me is my ex and my children. I have around 3 years till my youngest turns 18. It'll be a long 3 years. Edit. This inquiry is exclusively concerning me and my ex. My children have always lived with me full-time. They visit them on weekends and holidays. I've been sober since the divorce, and both of my children are working with therapists on this. Mostly, this is about the interaction between him and I.